Welcome to Sex Savvy, where nothing is off limits. I'm Kimberly Resnick Anderson, your host and creator of Sex Savvy. I've been helping couples and individuals achieve optimal sexual health for more than 25 years. I am ready to share my unique insights and sex-positive approach with the world. We'll talk about hang-ups, kinks, fantasies, and function, what's hot, what's not, and most importantly, how to become sex savvy. Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Sex Savvy. I'm your host, Kimberly Resnick Anderson. The topic of this week's episode is dominance and submission, sex or psychology. And I have the incredible honor today of hosting a professional dominatrix who lives and works here in Los Angeles, Mistress Damiana Chi, who also happens to have a PhD in psychology. She's going to be describing what a dominatrix does, why men and occasionally women seek her services. She's going to be describing the type of scenes and behaviors that her clients are seeking. She's going to talk about owning a personal slave and how after 17 years she collared him. She'll be explaining what that is for those of you who aren't familiar with collaring. She talks about how BDSM can be healing erotically, intellectually, emotionally, and spiritually. And she describes 4 archetypes that are manifested at different times throughout her sessions that include Authoritarian, Mother, Seductress, and Queen. So I can't wait for you to hear this. You're really learning from a pro. For those of you who aren't familiar with BDSM, bondage, discipline, sadomasochism, today you will be exposed to so many rich and deep concepts around this particular fetish or lifestyle. And I think and I hope that you will have a deeper understanding of the appeal. So let's get to it. But before I formally introduce my guest, I'd like to read an email to you that I received from one of my listeners. And the reason I chose to read this email is because I think it very effectively sets the stage and captures the essence of the intensity and compelling nature of today's topic. So the email reads, "Over the past few years, I've discovered and am slowly coming into acceptance of my proclivities. That being said, what is it about pain that is so pleasurable? The crack of the whip, the slice of the knife, the space created and held by that electric moment between sadist and masochist. Well, Hurig, if you're listening, I hope this episode provides some insight and perspective." So I'm very excited to introduce my guest for today. Her name is Mistress Damiana Chi, and she is a professional dominatrix here in Los Angeles. Welcome, Damiana.
So nice to be here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
One of the things that I think people are inherently curious about when I mention that I treat people in the BDSM community, they have such trouble relating to or wrapping their head around the appeal of that. Mm-hmm. And as someone who's been engaged in the community for a very long time, what would you say? How can you explain to people why there's so much interest in this?
Well, like the way I described it in my workshop this past weekend, so that's kind of fresh in my mind. I'm going to maybe pull some examples from it.
Because, by the way, you actually train women to become professional dominatrixes.
Not only professional, but also lifestyle.
In their
dominatrix.
lifestyle. Fantastic.
Yes, there are about half the students were lifestyle doms.
Okay.
Which, they have partners at home that they play with only.
Okay.
And so also lifestyle doms.
Fantastic. Mm-hmm. Oh, so for people who don't understand the difference or what that means, Damiana is saying that she trains women who want to offer services professionally, and then she also trains women who, in their personal life, engage in this sort of dynamic. That's and right. Want to learn more about the psychology and the power exchange.
Right.
Great. Okay, go on, please.
This kind of connection, this energy exchange, power exchange between two people is so intense and intimate, and the connection is so deep. We connect on all levels. There's an erotic level, there's an intellectual level, there's an emotional level, there's a spiritual level. So this connection is a way for two people to connect very intimately and deeply. And it's very hard to explain if you're not engaged in this type of play already, or if you've never done it, or if you're even just new and dabbling in it and you haven't dived in.
Exactly. So. I remember treating a man who had a long history of playing in that community, and he met a woman who was not part of that. It was very foreign to her. Mm-hmm. And he said, I don't think I can date you because this is really an important dynamic for me. I don't think I can be sexually responsive without these themes. Uh-huh. And she said, then I'll do it. Just tell me what you want me to do. And he said, you don't understand. Either it's sort of innate in terms of your arousal template, or it's not. And because she was doing it for him, mm-hmm. it didn't work for him. Mm-hmm. And he said, I need to be with a partner who's authentically, erotically, and intellectually mm-hmm. responsive to this. Mm-hmm. And she said, that's not fair. Like, I'll do it. And he was like, doing it is different mm-hmm. than feeling it right. and owning it. And she was devastated.
Yeah. It's not about play acting a role.
Right. Can you say more about that?
Yeah. So I'm a dominatrix. And when I'm doing my thing, when I'm doming in a session, in a scene, I'm not pretending to be someone else. This is a real part of me that I'm letting out. So when I say I teach women how to become a dominatrix, it's not really, it's
not role play.
It's not role play. It's like developing a part of yourself, that's, maybe it's a little bit there, maybe it's a lot there. You're developing it. Let's say you've never been a mother before, and when you're a new mother, you're just, you're maybe acting like a mother a little bit. But after you've been a mother for 5-10 years, you're very much know how to you're comfortable in your mother role.
I love that analogy. Mm-hmm. It's because it's
a real part of yourself. It's like, and so when you become a mother, it's not like you're someone else. It's a separate part of yourself that you've developed. So
it's a different role.
What it is. It's another role that you've developed. It's a part of yourself that you've developed.
And what I've noticed, and I'm curious if you found this as well with your clientele, is that the men that I've treated, primarily men, but plenty of women too, they report having been aware of certain themes from a very young age. For example, I treated a man who used to watch the original Batman, like, mm-hmm. on Saturday mornings with Adam West. And the damsel in distress was often tied to a chair.
Yeah.
And he said he remembers at 5 years old mm-hmm. feeling something in his body, not just his genitals. And it wasn't exactly even erotic because he didn't even know what that meant at age 5, but mm-hmm. something so exciting. Compelling mm-hmm. and exciting. And he couldn't wait to find the next woman, tied up or tied in a chair or bound in some way. And then that was it. He fell in love. He fell in love with ropes, mm-hmm. not with women, but with ropes.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I've heard a lot of men report the same thing. My chauffeur, who you saw in the waiting room there, he's actually my personal slave. And he also, he said that, he has a foot fetish and a shoe fetish. And he said that his earliest memory was when he was about 3 years old, and he was kind of like fighting with his cousin in the back seat of a car, and his aunt was sitting in the passenger side seat, and she came over with her foot, pressed on his hand, and said, "You stop that right now." And he looked at her foot, and just it imprinted.
It imprinted. That's the word I use, imprint.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And it can't be undone.
No,
it can't be undone. But maybe you could speak to this as well. But some men come to see me because they have a very rigid erotic script. They're dependent on certain themes in order to complete the phases of sexual response. If they're not holding a shoe, they can't get off. Mm-hmm. And they want not necessarily to get rid of that, but to broaden the repertoire mm-hmm. so that they can be responsive to more than just a shoe.
Yeah.
So what I do is I assess how much wiggle room there is, how much flexibility there is within someone's erotic template. And sometimes I can get them to where the shoe or the foot is always going to be a 10.
Yeah.
Like I can't take that away, but I can help include or bring in something that might be a 6 or a 7, and that might be enough, right? So when men are exclusively dependent, sometimes it's bothersome to them, and sometimes they don't. Oh, otherwise they don't come see me, right? If they don't have some sort of distress or conflict.
More options.
Yeah. So why are men coming to you, and what are the range of scenes that you create and negotiate with your clients?
Yeah, there's a variety of scenes. So why are men coming to me? So let's see. There is a conscious level and there's an unconscious level. On a conscious level, they're coming to see a woman who is, it's very erotic to them to come to a powerful woman figure and to live out a fantasy. Maybe they've had a fantasy that they want to manifest, and so they come.
And I'm sure people are wondering, are these men who in life tend to be passive or not?
More of the time, they are very dominant.
Powerful men in high positions. That's what I find in my clinical work.
Yeah.
These are CEOs and doctors and judges.
Yes.
These are not men who are unaccomplished.
So the unconscious reasons why a man is seeking out a dominatrix, and I think there's 2 levels. The first level is that, he's most of the time a very dominant person in his life. He's dominant in his work life, his relationships, family, whatnot. And so he feels a need unconsciously to even out. And so there's a psychic need to even out those energies. Psychic meaning the psyche, needing balance. And so when he comes to see a dominatrix and he's submissive to her, he is connecting to the divine feminine in that way, where he is actually exhibiting the feminine qualities of being submissive, being relaxed, just being, those type of qualities are feminine in nature when we're talking about masculine and feminine energies.
Not having to make the decisions.
Exactly.
Not having to be in charge. Something very liberating about it.
Right.
At least from what my patients have shared.
Yes. And so the other level of why he's wanting connection in this way is, I believe that, there's a deep need for a man to submit to a powerful female, which he hasn't done since maybe childhood. The powerful female figures in a man's life had been his mother, of course. His mother's telling him what to do from birth, in charge of him. Teachers, in elementary school, most teachers are female. So those are other strong authority figures that he's, grown up with. And like you were speaking about in the media, these movies that we see with characters that are female, like maybe in adolescence, first crushes, maybe like Farrah Fawcett or Marilyn Monroe, these type of iconic female figures. So those are very powerful figures in his unconscious. And so when he's connecting with a dominatrix, she is kind of allowing him a way to connect to those powerful female figures, because he is feeling connected to, and I call them archetypes. The different archetypes that I feel lives within a dominatrix are the authoritarian archetype, the mother archetype. The authoritarian is like an authority figure. The mother archetype represents emotional support or nurturing. Then there's the seductress, which is an erotic, sexy element, which is kind of like, the celebrity crushes and things like that. And then the last level is the queen archetype, and that one is more of a spiritual connection. And that one's really hard to describe to people who aren't into this. If you've ever been a submissive a man and you've been in sessions, you know what I mean by spiritual connection. So there's a spiritual connection to a powerful female that you feel in a session like this. There is a need for a man to feel in awe of a woman.
That's right.
There is
to worship
a woman.
I use that word a lot.
Yes. There is an innate primal need, archetypal need that's just, it spans, beginning of
humanity.
Yeah. And so I believe that's there. And these are all the unconscious.
Do you believe it's there for
reasons.
all men or certain men?
I kind of do personally.
You do. You think every man, whether they're aware of this kink or whatever you want to call it, could connect to this?
Yeah, on some level.
On some level.
I think every man has a need to be in awe of a woman on some level, and of course be attracted to a woman, be nurtured by a woman. And then the last one, and these are the different archetypes I'm going through, the last one is in charge. I mean, yes. I mean, when a man is just like exhausted from being
a man, the pressures I hear it all the time. High powered people,
that's right,
who are like, I just want to regress or make nothing, just let someone else tell me what to do. Yes.
Yeah.
So, and are your clients exclusively men?
I have some female clients too sometimes.
Okay, because I have some female patients as well who enjoy going to a dom as well.
But the larger percentage is men.
Yep. Would you say 80-20, 90-10?
Oh, it's I wish I had more female clients, but it's more like
95-5.
Yeah,
okay.
95 to 99% men.
Okay, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. Okay, okay. And before you work with someone in a behavioral way, how much time do you spend getting to know them and understanding their particular fantasy and their script and the themes that they want to enact? Because I'm sure it's idiosyncratic. I mean, there are some general themes that I think are universal, but then there are some idiosyncratic parts to everyone's story.
Of course. And I actually say this on my website that I specialize in customizing a session to who that individual is.
Love it.
Because we are all so different. We are, and so I don't put anyone in a box. I mean, there's a way to put someone in a box to generally, okay, this is an idea of where I'm going. But to answer your question, the way I get to know a person before we begin to play is, first he'll email me. That's the first way of contact that someone will have with me. And if I can already sense from the email kind of like how he writes it, if he's a professional or something like that,
And what does that mean to you?
He will be more eloquent in the way he writes or something like that.
If he is professional versus isn't, does that affect how you approach him?
No, it doesn't affect how I approach him, but I'm like, okay, this person knows how to keep appointments. This person's not going to be a flake. This person's going to...
I got you.
That kind of, that's what I mean.
Follow through and professionalism. Okay.
So, if this person writes a nice email, I'll email him back and say, please give me more. Say something more about yourself.
Great.
Give me some references from other prodoms who you've seen and, when you've last seen them, and I will check references.
And do you think that's the standard of care, or do you think you go above and beyond?
Above
and beyond in terms of taking the time to get to know someone. Because I think there are doms who someone emails them and they say, show up Thursday at 3:00.
Yes, there's domination houses that do like a form.
Yes.
And like an online fill out this form.
Yes.
Boom, 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 and then just show up.
Yes.
And then the dom that's actually going to be playing with him will have had no email or phone contact with him.
Which, no pun intended, ties her hands behind her back.
Yeah.
In terms of being able to offer a powerful experience, don't you think?
Sure. Yeah. But that's, that's a different level of service. That's, if someone's...
It's a warehouse level.
And it's not necessarily a bad thing. If you want to go in for a foot worship session or whatever, then that's, you pay a lower price to go to a domination house and then you get that.
Okay.
Versus, it's kind of like a massage house.
Right.
If you want to go in, get your massage, boom, you're out. Or do you want an ultimate spa experience?
Yes, that's great.
So, which is what I've offered.
Okay.
I will have, the email communication. I'll have him, after he's sent a deposit and I know he's serious, after we've set up a session date, I'll say, okay, now write me an email and explain your fantasies and your fetishes and really get into it. I want to know what your fantasy is and describe that to me.
Great.
And then, I'll read that and then kind of understand more. And then if it's a new person, I'll have a phone conversation with him.
Okay.
And so a phone interview where we'll talk on the phone. I'll get a sense. So you get the level of connection is bumped up a level. We'll hear each other voice to voice.
Right.
So I can get a sense of who he is. He can get a sense of who I am. So we're speaking to one another. I'm getting like, okay, I get a sense of this guy's, he's kind of shy or he's got kind of like this type of personality or whatever. And then when we actually meet in person, we'll have another talk.
Okay.
And this is, I'm talking about the first time meeting someone. We'll have another talk before we start. It'll take about 10 minutes or 15 max, depending on how much time he needs.
Okay.
And I need to assess what he is looking for. So until I really understand what he is looking for and the things that we're going to be playing with,
the themes,
activities that we'll be going into, spanking, CBT, whatnot.
Can you say what CBT is?
It stands for cock and ball torture.
Thank you.
And it doesn't necessarily mean torture.
Right.
It can be very light. It doesn't have to hurt.
Yes. For my listeners who aren't familiar with the terms.
Right.
Thank you for explaining.
And so I'll ask him, what type of domination he is into, what style of domination, and I'll say, and if he doesn't understand that, I'll say, like mild, medium, strict. And then he'll get into it. Like
how nurturing, how authoritarian. Do you offer the different archetypes too?
I don't.
You make that call in your mind.
The archetypes is for me.
Okay.
It's a system of teaching that I use in my workshops.
Okay.
But for the man, no. For the guy, he's just gonna get it. Like do you want her to be? And he'll get it. And a lot of times he'll already say to me, no, I'm into more of a sensual domination type of session.
Okay.
Or he'll say, no, I want cruel, strict, mean.
Yes.
That type of fantasy.
And what's most common?
I'll get both or
pretty equal.
Yeah, pretty equal. If we're just saying those two, those are the most common too. If we're speaking about the styles, so it's pretty half and half.
So strict versus more nurturing.
Strict versus sensual, and they'll use that word.
Yeah,
maybe it's out on the internet. I don't know, but they come to me with this
strict sensual
domination. That's what they want. That's what they say.
Okay, great.
And so, since my style is very versatile, and I express all of the archetypes in my style, I'm able to, kind of like I'll bring those parts of me out according to what he's looking for. And if he's looking for something like a strict dom, his energy will usually, bring that out in me anyway. Right. It'll bring out the strictness in me.
You are responsive and reactive to energetically what is.
That's right.
Yes.
This is what the energy dynamic is.
Yes. And so just for people who are wondering and imagining the range of behaviors or scenes or themes, can you speak to that?
You want to give out some examples?
Yes, please.
So if somebody says they want a sensual domination session, say, and let's say he wants, like he's looking for some foot worship or something. Someone who wants a light session will say, I don't want any pain. And I can definitely do a session with no pain. That's something that many people think it's a
stereotype.
It is a stereotype.
It
People
is.
think that, I'm just
whipping
up
people.
everybody that comes through the door.
I think that is a common misperception.
But, very often I'll hear people come in that say they don't want any marks and they don't want any pain or light pain. And so one of those type of sessions, I will, do a light spanking. I'll bring out the seductress in me and I'll play with his body and I'll say, I'm using your body, for my pleasure. and you're my plaything. I'm going to do with you as I please. I'm going to do with you, I'm going to spank you as long as I want. I'm going to play with your nipples as long as I want. And you can't do anything about it because I'm binding your hands behind your back. Something like that.
So that's a pretty typical kind of interaction you might have with someone.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Someone who wants a really light session.
And I'm just wondering what my audience is wondering. So I'm going to be channeling them and asking the questions I think they're thinking about. Does anyone ever get cold feet, stop in the middle, change their mind, change it up, say that they want more or less, those sorts of things?
Not with me. It never happens. I mean, it has never once happened in 20 years because
that's a testament to you, because that's not the case for everyone.
It's not the case.
That's really impressive.
Well, that's because they know I'm taking the time
They
to
feel
get to
safe.
know them.
Right.
And maybe it's the therapist in me. Maybe it's the psychologist in me that wants to know who they are.
Because, by the way, you do have a PhD in psychology.
I do.
And
a master's in psychology as
and
well.
a master's in psychology. So you're not just, talking out of the air. You're a highly trained, sophisticated, educated person alongside this role. You are very articulate and on a very high level, very evolved level.
Yeah, my psychology background has helped me a lot in this profession.
I can't imagine a dom, now that I know about you and see the benefits of your training. I think everyone should have to do every professional dom. I mean, I don't want to regulate it, but I think
I do.
Okay, we'll talk. It's another episode. I think they should at least intuitively understand that they need to immerse themselves in these power exchanges and understand what is going on. It makes such a difference.
And you'll see this out there. I believe it too. I believe that BDSM is like 70 to 80% psychology. Psychology in the play, and during the scene, and before, like we're talking about, and
it's all psychology.
It is.
It's an eroticized exchange of power and, I don't know, energy.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
I mean, we can extend it to sexuality is
all psychology.
Mostly psychology.
Now you're talking my language,
that's right.
sister. Yeah, that's my mission. That's my brand. Is everything that happens to you shapes your erotic life and how you express yourself and what you're responsive to. And then we can go very specifically into your area and break it down even further. Yeah. Have these men experienced deprivation, like maternal deprivation, or is there a need to be remothered?
I can think of a couple of examples, but like I have a client I'm thinking about right now who, he didn't have that good of an upbringing with his mother. He finds our sessions very healing, and I don't necessarily mother him like I'm nurturing. I mean, a little bit, but because it's the connection between he and I that is healing. It's, when we're playing, we are very, very connected. We're connected to, I can be across the room and he can feel connected to me because
it's energetic.
It is, and, if I'm caning someone, he can feel so connected to me through the cane, through, like he can hear my breath. Or I can hear his. We're connected in that way. There's just like ebb and flow. He's hearing the sound of my voice and feeling connected to me. It's
very sensorial.
And just more than that, just him knowing that I'm the one that's there dominating him. He feels our connection.
Is the goal orgasm? I think a lot of people wonder about that.
It's not, I wouldn't call it the goal. It's a release that happens at the end of a session.
Is that typical?
It is typical.
Okay.
Because it's like, there's so much buildup. And it's very much like when two people are having intercourse, there's a lot of erotic buildup, and then you
Release.
and then you want to release.
Okay.
But the release, it's not the goal of having sex. Just like the release isn't the goal of having a BDSM session.
Right.
It's just kind of like that's the way that it feels good to end.
Okay.
After
I have-
a high intense.
I've seen a couple men who don't have orgasms during or after play, immediately after, and then they may go home and have an orgasm. But the time with the dom is for them, it's enough. It's sufficient energetically that they don't need that physical release. But I suspect that that's more the exception than the rule.
Yeah, and I find that too. I have people that they don't have an orgasm, and that's fine, because it's not. Some sessions don't have that intense arch in the middle. So
I would imagine listeners are wondering if the men are allowed to touch you, or what the boundaries are around that.
I don't allow it unless I allow it.
Yeah.
Like if there's
An organic thing.
If there's a foot worship session or whatnot, I'll say, so generally no, and I'll establish that in the beginning as part of the slave training. And if I do allow them to touch me, if it's like a foot worship, the foot worship time, then I'll instruct step by step what I allow. And it's not like you are not allowed, it's not like I feel threatened in any kind of a way. It's not like that.
You are the powerful one, though. You are the one who is calling the shots.
The allowing is about, I'm telling them what to do. I'm in charge.
That's right. Yes. It's always through that lens.
It is.
Yeah. Yeah. Are there things that are off limits aside from touching you? Are there certain scenes or themes that you're not comfortable participating in or enacting in?
Sure. There's, I don't do brow showers.
Okay.
There's not a lot that comes to mind right now.
Okay.
But, usually they'll come to me with their limits.
Okay.
They'll say, no marks, no blood play.
What if someone wants marks or blood play? That's no problem.
If someone wants marks, I will ask them how much experience they have. If it's a new person, first time.
Yeah.
I won't do that to them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, unless they're skin marks easily. It's like somebody who has very sensitive skin or something. But I usually won't go too intense on the very first session that somebody ever has in their life.
Yeah. I have a female masochist that I work with, and she's into knife play and blood play. And for her, in the moment, it's just sublime, but it's feeling the scars afterwards or watching them heal to her is also very comforting. And, we were talking about that the other day, how it's between sessions, it allows her to feel connected still. So do people fall in love with you, Damiana?
Yeah, some people do.
Yeah. How do you handle that? Because people fall in love with me too, but they're not really. It's all just erotic transference or projection. But they think they're in love.
Yeah,
or they think
very similar.
Very similar, yeah. Or they bestow me with certain things that are unearned, right? How do you handle that?
I talk about it like, well, this is you're in love with me on a mistress and slave type of love, and this is all like in session, After session, he won't really talk about that. All the professing of love happens during session when it's really intense. And so when he's in that slave role, I'll be in mistress role, and I'll say, and I will allow you to be in love with me from as a slave to a mistress.
And does anyone ever become obsessed beyond the session? Have you had any problems?
I have in the past, but those type of people I have let go in my life because it's too much energy for me to spend on people like that. It's too draining.
So you mentioned your personal slave who's here.
Yeah.
Through the glass in the waiting room. Do you have one personal slave?
I have more than one personal slave, and I also have other slaves who I borrow from my mistress friends. For example, at my workshops and my parties, my very close mistress friends, my sister being one of my mistress friends, will lend me their personal slaves. And so I kind of have this little family of
like
I
a harem.
I call them
Like a harem.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, they're, I call them they are part of my BDSM family. So are my mistress friends. But yeah, the slave stable is what we call it.
I love it.
Yeah. And, they're very close to me, very dear to me, very important in my life.
And what about
Collaring. So collaring is something that I do to, only those who I want with me forever. It's like a marriage. So slave Mike out in the living room who chauffeured me here, he is collared. And I collared him after 17 years of being my slave.
Wow.
I didn't do it right away.
It's a real meaningful privilege.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I only have currently 3 collared slaves at the moment.
Okay. And for people who don't know what that means, can you explain a little
Collared?
bit? Yes.
It looks like a dog collar, but the slave collar has a metal ring on the front of it, and it's used to put a leash on so that we can drag them around by collar and leash. And when I say I collared somebody, that means that there was, usually a ceremony where I am officially collaring someone as belonging to me, and he is my property. I own him like my property. He's my personal slave.
Got it. Yep. Good. So I have worked with lots of men who've been collared and some women who are collared as well. Yeah. I treat a woman whose dom wants to collar her and she's holding out. And there's something going on there. Her dom says she's topping from the bottom. Right? Can you explain what that means?
She's probably trying to tell it. Well, for example, I had one slave who wanted to be collared really, really bad. He just, I want to be collared right now. I'm ready. I'm so devoted to you, mistress, right now. I'm like, you don't get it right now.
Right.
You get it when I say that I want it, So that might be what's going on there.
Okay. Very, very interesting. Very, yeah.
Topping from the bottom means, you're trying to control things.
Yes, exactly.
And when you try to do that, usually the top will do something opposite of what the sub is trying to make happen.
Right.
Just to make a point.
There's a new notion or premise in the BDSM community where it's the bottom that actually has the power and not the top. Are you familiar with this shift in thinking, and how would you address it?
Well, I think I know what that means. It's not new.
Okay.
So the bottom, they say, the bottom is the one that's that is really in control, and that's talking about the idea of consent.
Right. Without their consent, it doesn't work. Right.
In my relationships with my personal slaves, who we don't have, the limits are taken away. It's a little bit different there. But if we talk about, like, let's say, my clients that are coming to see me for pro sessions, and they have this list of what's okay and what's not okay, I'm not going to do anything on their not okay, on their limits list. The submissive is actually the one in control of the session. I mean, even in lifestyle relationships, because...
Can you explain just briefly for people who don't know what that means?
Lifestyle.
Yeah, as opposed to sessions that you pay for?
A lifestyle relationship is a couple who's engaged in BDSM in their personal life, not...
not just sexually or erotically, but the power differential permeates the relationship in all domains, correct? Is that fair?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
It's not necessarily 24/7.
Okay.
Some people have that relationship. They might be husband and wife. all the rest of the week, except for when the dom, let's say the dom is the woman, she says, slave, we're going to have a session on Saturday night at 8:00. Be prepared.
Got it.
And that's the only time that they play
Got it.
out
Okay.
that dynamic.
So each couple negotiates their own version or
Right.
contract.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you for explaining that.
So we were talking about consent and...
Topping from the bottom.
Right. And the other... So, for example, like if a client comes to me and he says he is not into marks or whatnot, and if I just start whipping him and giving him marks and because I want to do it, and I said, you know what, you're my sub, you're my slave, I'm just going to do this to you because I want to, that's not okay.
It's not okay.
That's why they say that the submissive is the one in control.
Exactly.
Because his or her limits are the ones that we're
honoring.
Yes. And so they're talking about consent when they say that.
Okay, great. Well, I could talk to you for hours and hours and hours. It's just fascinating. Hopefully you'll come back and meet with me again.
I would
we
love
can have a part
to.
2.
Yes, I would love to.
And I just can't wait for people to hear and be educated about this. It's one of my lifetime missions has been to kind of depathologize and demarginalize people with alternative sexual interests. And you have been the best ambassador I could have ever hoped for
thank you.
To do that.
I would love to be an advocate alongside you.
Thank you so much.
I'm honored.
Yeah, I really feel a connection. So the way I met you is because someone I know uses you and recommended you and was just raving. And then I reached out and you were so kind as to be willing to do this. But yes, we should definitely keep in touch and support each other's work.
I would love it.
Thank you so much, Damiana. It was such a pleasure, and I
had such a good time. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Well, I sure hope that this interview was as enlightening for you as it was for me. Even though I've been treating members of the BDSM community for 25 years, I found Mistress Damiana's explanations into some of the psychology around this to be very fascinating. And as someone who's never personally participated in the lifestyle, I think that after interviewing Mistress Damiana, I will have deeper insight so that I can offer my patients an even more comprehensive opportunity to explore this lifestyle. If you have never heard of BDSM or have no frame of reference, let me know what you thought about this episode. Do you find this fetish to be deviant or off-putting? Do you find this lifestyle to make sense and you can relate to it? Let me know your thoughts. If you're a member of the BDSM community and have anything to share or add, please let me know. Shoot me an email at kimberly@sexsavvypodcast.com, or you can leave a message on my confidential toll-free voicemail 844-SEX-SAVVY.
You've been listening to Sex Savvy. If you find value in this podcast, please like, follow, share, comment, or review on your favorite podcast app. Your participation helps keep Sex Savvy free and available to all who are interested. Kimberly and the entire Sex Savvy team appreciate your loyalty and support.